Well, another frivolous lawsuit's been filed against the police. This one in San Bernardino, California. What's up, guys? It's Greeny, retired police officer, 30 years in law enforcement, retired as the chief of police, worked for the federal government and the courts for a while. I have a lot of experience in law enforcement. If you look into the description of this video, I'll put sort of my resume down there. I've been asked, like, who are you? How are you qualified to discuss such matters? And you can decide for yourself if I'm qualified or not. But anyways, in this video, a gentleman was shot by the police. He was wielding a knife, exiting his house. And I'll just describe a little bit of the situation, and I'll play a news report regarding the situation with his attorney commenting and everything else. Later on in the video, I'm going to show you guys some other clips that are very graphic, so viewer discretion advised in this video. So in this incident, the police are called to a house regarding a prowler. The family thought there was a prowler, and the officer knocks on the door, announces himself. Apparently, the dispatcher told the family to exit the house, that the police were there. Well, they don't come walking out of the house and, okay, thank you, police, for coming. No, they come bolting out the door, 3 people. Then behind him is a 4th person wielding a knife who was ultimately shot by the police. Turns out that he's one of the residents of the house. He's the son, and the whole incident was a misunderstanding. It was the homeowner's husband who was outside of the house, and she thought it was a prowler. So the whole thing was a misunderstanding, and now it's the police's fault, allegedly, that this young man was shot. Let me play this clip from the news, and there's some video on it that shows the incident.
The family of a young man shot by a San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputy has filed a civil rights lawsuit against the county. The 18-year-old was shot while deputies were investigating a report of a prowler at his family's home in Apple Valley. NBC4 investigative reporter Eric Leonard has the new court documents. He joins us live with an update. Eric.
Hi, Colleen. Well, this young man who was shot is named Elijah Brown, and his mother says he's lucky to be alive. His mother had called 911 over a year ago because she'd heard someone walking around outside her house. Dispatchers told the family to meet deputies outside, and as she and her kids ran out, one deputy opened fire.
They almost took my son's life. And I thank God every day that my son's still here with me.
Elijah Brown's mother says this experience has made her fearful of police, who she says she called for help in February 2025 to report a prowler.
My kids woke me up. They didn't know who was at the door or who was walking around the house because they didn't even ring the doorbell. They was just walking around the house.
Her security video shows Deputy Jose Guzman arriving
Sheriff's Department
and positioning himself behind a column on the porch. The 911 operator told Brown's mother deputies had arrived and to go outside. The video shows when they ran out, the deputy drew his pistol and fired into the open door. We've stopped the video, which shows Elijah collapsing to the ground. A statement from the Sheriff's Department last year says Elijah Brown was holding a large knife, which isn't clear in the doorbell video. The family's federal lawsuit says Brown had picked up the knife for self-defense, and their attorney says it's clear now Brown didn't see the deputy was just outside the front door.
And that incident is a classic example of shoot first, think later. It's a classic example of officers being impulsive, being reckless, racially profiling a young black kid, and shooting first and thinking later.
The deputy's bullets struck Elijah in the chest, stomach, and bladder.
I don't understand how someone could be so heartless and shoot my brother how he did.
The family's lawsuit alleges the shooting was negligent and excessive force was used, and that the deputy should have been trained well enough to understand Elijah Brown was not the suspected prowler.
Mind reader.
The county has not yet filed a response to this lawsuit in court. The Sheriff's Department told us in a statement this afternoon that Elijah Brown brandished that knife and said the allegations in the lawsuit are inaccurate. The department also says the deputy's actions were lawful and consistent with the department's policies and training. I'm investigative reporter Eric Leonard, NBC4 News. Back to you.
Okay, I will give this Channel 4 a little bit of credit because they do kind of give you both sides of the story. They give you a statement from the police. I saw another report. The first one I saw this was totally swayed, by the perspective of the family and gave no statement from the police. Totally made it look like the police shot the kid for no reason. Now, if you can see in that video, I mean, those people came flying out of the house like they're scared, and then this kid's behind him with a knife. So, as the attorney says, shoot first, think later. Yeah, in a situation like that, when somebody's wielding a knife, you have to shoot first and think later. There's been research and plenty of documentation that somebody can cover 21 feet in about 1.8 to 2 seconds. That's how quickly they can move when they have a knife. And that kid was already at full speed out the door. So how is the police officer supposed to know if that's the prowler or not the prowler, and he has a weapon and he's chasing those people, or he has to protect himself because that person could be on top of him in literally just seconds? I will show you a few other videos. They're very graphic. I will show you those in a minute, but it's what can happen when somebody's wielding a knife, and they end very badly for the officers. I'm going to show you those in a minute, just so you can see how the officers have no time to react in a situation like this. So just a few things. Officers are not trained to shoot someone solely because they have a knife at a certain distance. Shooting is justified when the person poses an immediate danger. Example, closing aggressively on the officer or heading towards others. That guy was heading right after those people. That's what it would look like to me if I was the officer. You don't have time to think. Like the attorney said, he had to react. Even though she's trying to sway it away that he reacted in a negative way. No, he didn't. Let me play what the attorney said again for a minute.
And that incident is a classic example of shoot first, think later.
That's all you can do.
It's a classic example of officers being impulsive, being reckless, racially profiling a young black kid, and shooting first and thinking later.
She's just making that up. There's nothing regarding this incident that would make you think that way. The officer, Hispanic, person of color, that kid, person of color. I mean, she's just throwing things out there. She kind of sounds like AOC, doesn't she? Just an observation I'm making. But from years of doing internal investigations and investigating officers' actions, as far as I can see, just from that short video, completely justified. I mean, there's no way that the officer has enough time to compute and ask questions and think anything. Yeah, you have to react. You have to react. In his mind, he's saving those people's lives or his own. Case closed. I mean, frivolous lawsuit, like I said. Now I can understand filing a lawsuit. Plenty of ambulance chasers like this chick are going to pick that up and see what they can get, see if maybe they'll settle out of court, give them a little bit of money. Of course, anytime the police do anything, people want money. They called the police, they reported a prowler, and the police reacted accordingly. Now let me show you what can happen when somebody has a knife and it ends very badly for the police. This first video, the officer was okay. The second one I'm going to show you, unfortunately, the officer lost his life. But this is how quick somebody with a knife can get to you.
Hey, partner. Hey, buddy. Hey, motherfucker! That's 67, 62, man. He's signal 55.
So you see how quickly that can escalate when somebody has a knife? Now, the next one I'm going to show you, there's two different angles. One is from a building, and the other one's from the police's body cam, which is very, very graphic. If you turn this off now, go away if you don't want to see this one, because it's very graphic. There's the knife in his hand. And this is kind of in slow motion, but I mean, you can see how quickly somebody can pursue you with a knife. So that's just, doesn't really show too much in this one, but the officer's body cam is just so graphic. And look at this guy. He just goes back in for more after. I mean, the officer was still alive, and he just went back in and finished him off. But I'll show you the other video here.
Central 97.
This is Officer Jonah Hernandez from Las Cruces, New Mexico. Very sad situation.
How's it going, boss?
They had reports of trespassers. They've had a lot of problems with trespassers.
You been staying here for a while? What's up? Is this your place? So you're the one who called? You're the one who called?
I didn't call.
Huh?
I didn't call this week.
It goes on and on. I mean, that was the first round of stabbing, and then he backs up, and then he decides to just go back in and finish off the officer, and that officer passed away. A very unfortunate situation. But you can see how quickly somebody can move on you with a knife. There's nothing you can do. And that kid, like I said, he was already full speed heading out that door. If he came towards the officer, luckily the officer had his gun out and he was ready. If his gun would have been holstered and that kid came at him, there's nothing you can do. Not that was the kid's intention, but there's no way for the officer to know what his intention was, So that's why I say frivolous lawsuit. I understand that they're upset and they should be happy that the kid didn't pass away. I mean, really, it's they got very lucky that their son's still alive because they caused the entire situation by, alerting the police that there's a prowler. It turns out to be the lady's husband later or whatever, but when you're a police officer and you're going to a situation where you think there's a burglar, you have to be on high alert. Then you see somebody charging at people with a knife or possibly charging at you. As far as I'm concerned, the officer had no other choice. It's a justified shooting and move on. Whether they pay off the family or not, I have no idea. Sometimes, risk management, loss, I wouldn't say loss prevention, but these attorneys for cities, they just want to do whatever is going to be, the least amount of money. If they think litigation is going to cost too much, they'll just throw some money at them. And that may be all the family's after. That may be all that attorney's after, the AOC attorney there. But let me know what you guys think. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you think I'm totally off on this. I did this a while, so I'm pretty sure I got a good grasp on it. But, other people may have other opinions, and I'd like to hear what your opinion is. Well, I'm sure you didn't enjoy the video, but please subscribe to the channel if you're interested in this type of content. I recently made a video about an officer doing a pit maneuver and whether it was justified or not. That's when you hit a car and cause it to crash. I'll post that video up here. Let me know what you guys think about that one.